Tonight, a woman killed, her son charged. Another Perth murder linked to family violence. Clean-up crews in a race against time, the southwest bracing for more wild weather. A brother heartbroken and angry at a system that failed his sister and niece. A driver sprayed with glass as an aggressive Perth motorist smashes through his windscreen with his bare hands. A Yanchep man credits a WA broadcasting legend with saving his life. And tribunal-bound Adam Simpson on how the Eagles will fight Harley's ban, exclusively with Ryan in Sport.
Live from Perth, 7 News with Rick Ardon.
Good evening. Our family and domestic violence crisis has worsened with another Perth woman dead. This time, homicide investigators say it was her son who killed her. As Nick Overall reports, she ran into the street for help that never came. We warn this report may be confronting.
A Byford home swarmed by the homicide squad after a tragic discovery on Gallipoli Avenue. Just after 7 p.m, a 61-year-old woman was found dead outside a front door. Some neighbours hearing a scream and thud.
Didn't think that much of it at the time, but obviously once all the police and that rocked up, I knew it was pretty serious.
It's alleged she was killed by her adult son. Neighbours say the woman fled her home on nearby Laramar Parade. She tried to seek shelter from a horrific attack at this neighbouring property, but the owners weren't home. Residents shocked to hear of the violence that unfolded on their street.
Never had, any dramas really. And then this happens, it's a bit of a shock.
Pretty sad to hear, especially around here, it's a pretty quiet area.
Around 2 hours later, the woman's son was spotted driving a silver Peugeot. He'd made it more than 200 kilometres north to the wheatbelt town of Bindi Bindi. Police say when they tried to pull him over, he sped off and only stopped when they deployed a tyre deflation device. Officers claim he was acting aggressively, so they tasered him. By this afternoon, he'd been charged with murder. 7 News understands the woman's son lived with her here on Laramar Parade, but tonight he's in a cell and tomorrow he'll be before a magistrate at Armidale Courthouse. Nick Overall, 7 News.
Bunbury clean-up crews are working around the clock to prepare households for another storm surge. The town has been hit by 2 severe weather systems in just a month, and now there's another on the way.
A trail of destruction along one of Bunbury's most picturesque streets, debris strewn down Austral Parade, the epicentre of Saturday's wild storm. The top floor of the historic Parade Hotel ripped apart.
It's taken this side of the building out, taken the roof off.
Inside, dozens of guests, some of them injured when the roof collapsed in on them.
We had a full house, the place was fully booked.
This the second time in 5 years the pub has been badly damaged.
We had a major fire that destroyed a lot of the eastern end of the building, so that was pretty traumatic, having just bought the pub. And now this.
The cold front sweeping across the southwest town, damaging dozens of buildings. Residents thought it was a jumbo jet overhead.
I jumped off the lounge, didn't know which way to run. Thought the windows were going to come in.
This block of units almost gutted, its roof no match for the wild winds.
The wind was sort of blowing over the place a little bit and then pop straight through and that was it.
Down the road at Owies Garden Nursery, the repair bill could run as high as $500,000.
We worked so hard to build this place up, love, so it is devastated.
The business is not insured.
Every single shade house and hothouse we have has been flattened. A lot of the plants in our garden have been torn to shreds. Almost all the trees have been torn to shreds.
A team of volunteers lending a hand, some even driving down from Perth to help.
I got up at 5:30. We got here by about 8 o'clock. And there was already heaps of people here, so everyone's pitching in.
120 DFS and SES personnel have been working tirelessly around the clock, responding to more than 170 calls for help. They've managed to get to most people, but they are still yet to get to around 40 properties. It's now a race against time as another storm is set to hit on Wednesday night.
Local crews do carry a level of fatigue. They've been working extremely hard. And these people are volunteers for the most part, and we've reached out to crews as far as the Wheatbelt, the lower southwest, to come and actually help with this.
More than 850 homes are tonight still without power. Francesca Denuccio, 7 News.
Let's bring in Sam Jolly now. Sam, when exactly is the next storm due?
Well, thankfully, Rick, our southwest will get a break for a couple of days, as will the metro area. But there is another cold front due late Wednesday into Thursday, and Bunbury could get a thunderstorm and up to 30 millimetres of rain. At this stage, it's looking like an average winter cold front, but of course, any warnings will come out closer to time if they're needed. We had some overnight rain across the metro area, but it was mostly clear from 9 a.m. We had a top of 21.5 degrees in the city this afternoon. Bickley was the coolest spot today, just 18 degrees. The Swan Valley, the warmest with 22. Swanbourne and the airport, 22 as well. We had 21 for Jandakot and the same for Rockingham. So winter has certainly arrived. According to the new forecast, we could get more than 100 millimetres of rain in the metro area this week, Rick.
Thanks, Sam. The family of the mother and daughter killed in Florida has issued its own plea for answers after the gunman's daughter accused police of failing to act on warnings. Dennis Harvey is the brother and uncle of Jennifer and Gretel Petelches and says more should have been done to protect them.
Anger after a crucial window to save 2 lives was missed.
I'm not blaming directly the guys on the ground. This problem starts from the top.
Dennis Harvey spoke to the ABC of his frustration. His sister Jennifer and niece Gretel Petelches were killed by gunman Mark Bombara last month.
She was trying to protect her friend, which she went to school with, and Jennifer's always been like that.
Under the existing Firearms Act, police can seize a gun if they believe it could lead to harm. The killer's daughter, Ariel Bombara, says she repeatedly warned police a weapon was missing.
My mother and I made it clear that lives were at risk, and we were repeatedly ignored.
I know for a fact I'm a firearm owner. Any policeman has, under the Act, has the right to think if something's not quite kosher, they can remove those firearms.
Police are now investigating their response to this case and have refused to provide any further comment. Politicians have acted to make it clear in new laws that anyone accused of family violence will be stripped of their weapons. Independent MP Kate Chaney wants the CCC to investigate first.
I've heard too many people saying that they have felt let down by the police response when they've been in fear of violence, to make me think that an internal police investigation would be adequate.
New laws are being promised, but Dennis Harvey says current laws could be better used. He believes his sister's death was preventable.
And I just wish it does not happen to anyone else.
Lucy Murray, 7 News.
More than 2.5 million Australians are getting a pay rise of about $30 a week. The Fair Work Commission has announced a 3.75% increase to the minimum wage from next month. Workers, unions and the Albanese government have welcomed the decision, but small businesses say they'll have to pass on the extra cost to customers.
$90. With the price of everything going up.
Petrol, bills, food, like groceries.
The minimum wage follows up again, this time another $33 a week.
$33, I think that could be a bit more generous.
A 3.75% rise to $24.10 an hour, $913.91 a week, affecting 2.6 million workers on the minimum wage or awards linked to it.
A primary consideration has been the cost of living pressures.
Combined with the Stage 3 tax cuts from July 1, minimum wage earners will get an extra $120 a week, retail workers $102 a week, cleaners $103, hairdressers $106, aged care workers $220. For small business owners, though, wages up and sales down make survival difficult.
I might possibly have to make some cutbacks to staff.
Running for Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese promised minimum wage earners a rise of $1 an hour. This one, though, takes the total increase since then to $2.72. The third increase since the election, totalling 14.7%.
A greater increase in the minimum wage in 2 years than those opposite had in their entire decade in office.
Today's result in between union requests for 5% and business for 2%.
Any day working people go forward in terms of a real pay increase is a good day.
Small businesses are increasingly going to have to pass on
those higher costs that they face.
And some fearing
It's just another nail in the coffin.
the cost could be too much.
Mark Riley is in Canberra tonight. Mark, what does this decision mean for our inflation and interest rates?
Well, the consensus among economists, Rick, is that the Reserve Bank will be heaving a sigh of relief tonight at what they believe is a neutral decision. Anything higher could have been inflationary. Fair Work says cost of living pressures were the primary consideration, but a higher increase would have been inappropriate in the current economic circumstances. So it's a case of just enough, but not too much. Rick?
Thanks, Mark. We're about to show you vision of a shocking road rage attack caught on dash cam. A driver was sprayed with glass after an angry motorist smashed through his windscreen with his bare hands. The attack was apparently triggered by an argument over merging.
Stuck at a red light with nowhere to go. Then this.
Out of your car!
Got out and done some WWF moves into the windscreen.
He's joking now, but at the time, Dylan was far from enthused.
My biggest fear when he started getting aggressive was just me dogs. All I was worried about was me dogs staying safe.
He says it all happened over a disagreement about merging. Leading up to the shock attack on Wednesday morning, the 30-year-old was trying to merge onto the Kwinana Freeway in Bull Creek. A Skoda refused to let him in. Dylan beeped his horn in disapproval, but the Skoda followed him until they came to a red light.
It's punched through my weather guard, a little gap where my window was open, tried to get in through there, couldn't do so, punched my driver's mirror forward, then ultimately done the finishing move of putting a shoulder through my windscreen.
With glass shattered all over his lap, Dylan drove to safety and says he immediately called police. He's been left $1,000 out of pocket to fix his broken windscreen.
Because I'm a big fella and I can handle myself if I had to. But when you got dogs with you and someone is crazy enough to come and do that to you, you don't know what else they're crazy enough to do. Where's the line on a lunatic?
Visiting from Victoria, Dylan's leaving with a poor impression.
Seems like there might be a little bit of an attitude difference in the drivers over here.
Jerry Damasi, 7 News.
The White House has ramped up pressure on Israel to accept a new Gaza ceasefire deal. A spokesman for US President Joe Biden says Israel is already committed to the plan, but 2 days after it was announced, it's yet to be sealed.
On the streets of New York.
We want it to be stopped as soon as possible, and we want our loved ones to be back home.
And in Jerusalem.
I'm here to support my government in taking this deal, the deal that Netanyahu suggested.
Demands to bring them home. An estimated 125 people still held in Gaza 8 months after their brutal capture sparked a war. Now, President Biden is promoting a ceasefire plan, including a staged release of hostages. The captors Hamas considering it, but might Israel reject it?
No, this was an Israeli proposal. We have every expectation that if Hamas agrees to the proposal, as was transmitted to them, an Israeli proposal, that Israel would say yes.
In fact, hard-right figures in Benjamin Netanyahu's government have said if he accepts the ceasefire before Israel's troops have killed the last Hamas militants, they'll bring down the Netanyahu government. The White House today conceding Hamas has not yet been eliminated, but says US intelligence shows
Hamas is in no position to conduct another attack like October 7th.
The pressure building around Benjamin Netanyahu to back a peace deal that might end the war and his government. In the United States, Tim Lester, 7 News.
The Immigration Minister is under fire once again. In an interview last week, he said drones were being used to track freed immigration detainees. Andrew Giles is now walking back from that claim.
I relied on information provided by my department at the time, which has since been clarified.
The Minister says he'll issue a new ministerial direction by Friday to stop foreign-born criminals overturning efforts to deport them. Donald Trump claims he's okay with the prospect of going to jail after being convicted of covering up hush money payments to a porn star. But in what many see as a veiled threat, he says his supporters might reach breaking point ahead of November's election.
Interviewed by a friendly Fox News panel, Donald Trump was quizzed about the prospect of jail or house arrest.
I'm okay with it. I saw one of my lawyers the other day on television saying, "Oh no, you don't want to do that to the president." I said, you don't beg for anything, you just the way it is.
But he thinks his supporter base would erupt.
I think it would be tough for the public to take. You know, at a certain point, there's a breaking point.
Some fear that breaking point could see a repeat of the violence seen on January 6.
This is clearly Donald Trump once again inciting violence, potential violence when he is sentenced.
The threats taken seriously by the porn star at the centre of the New York case each time she travelled to the courthouse.
Her security team said that she can't leave the hotel without bulletproof vests, and she felt more comfortable with that.
Another key witness, former Trump fixer Michael Cohen, also the target of threats, but still speaks out.
He wants to call me a convict, he wants to call me a felon. Guess what, pal? So are you.
Throughout the saga, there's been no sign of Mrs. Trump.
How's Melania doing with that? She's fine, but I think it's very hard for her.
Polling shows Trump ahead in a tight presidential race with Joe Biden. It remains to be seen if a conviction will change that. In the United States, Miley Hogan, 7 News.
Back at home, it was blue skies and big crowds at Fremantle today. Families took advantage of a break in the wild weather and descended on the port city for WA Day. It was one of a handful of community celebrations that happened across the state. The main two-day event at Burswood was cancelled on Friday because of public safety concerns. The site was already waterlogged and the forecast wasn't improving. A 64-year-old Yanchep man is credited a Perth broadcasting legend with saving his life. Watching a story about prostate cancer on 7 News last year prompted him to go and get a simple test. The results were alarming.
Wes Tate keeps his fitness up with daily exercise. He's planning to travel when he retires. Cancer was never part of those plans. Did you think you would be a target for prostate cancer?
No, I didn't. That's why I didn't worry about it. I thought I should be all right. I'm only a young 64.
But Wes saw a 7 News story where legendary television presenter and weatherman Jeff Newman went public with his encounter with prostate cancer.
Cancer was something that somebody else had, never me. And that's probably the attitude of most men.
Jeff urged all men over 40 to get a simple PSA blood test. Wes was listening and took that advice.
1 or below is normal, and then 4 is above average, but yeah, mine was 27.
Within a fortnight, he was being operated on at Fiona Stanley Hospital by surgeon Matt Brown. There are symptoms for prostate cancer and they shouldn't be ignored. They mostly involve difficulty urinating, starting or maintaining a steady stream, the frequent urge to urinate, or blood in urine or semen. Wesley had another PSA test a few weeks back and is well within the safety range. Like Jeff Newman, Wesley's urging men over 40 to get themselves a life-saving test.
The doctor said if I left it much longer, I would be in big trouble. So thank you, Jeff. You saved my life.
Jeff Parry, 7 News.
Ahead tonight, rising faster than any other capital city in the country. Why Perth's property prices are going gangbusters. Plus a fitting tribute to Allied war heroes, one of the great military operations recreated. Our scammers are targeting international students in Perth. Plus concerns about drones and their links to China. Is there a spy risk? And later, inside Australia's Tesla graveyard, where thousands of stranded cars have nowhere to go. International students are being warned about the rise of virtual kidnapping scams. They usually start with a phone call from someone impersonating a military or government official. Victims are threatened with extradition if they don't pay up, or forced to fake their own kidnapping for a ransom. Police have recorded 4 cases in WA since August and are urging students to never give out personal details or credit card details over the phone. The King and the US President will join world leaders in northern France this week to mark 80 years since the D-Day landings. A group of amateur parachutists has recreated the jumps taken by parachutists that began the operation that changed the course of World War II.
From on board those same US Air Force C-47 transporters, jumping over northern France, civilians recreate one part of one of the great military operations. Today, jumping into friendly skies, unlike 80 years ago.
Across the English coast, I thought that would have been the last view of England some of those lads in 1944 had for the last time. That was their last view of their home country.
When the time came for the paratroops to bail out, only a very small percentage of the troop carriers had been lost.
In the early hours of June 6, 1944, Allied paratroopers were jumping into a blaze of Nazi gunfire, helping to set up the Normandy landings that ultimately led to the defeat of Hitler's Germany. The recreation today, a tribute to that heroism.
It's the same cable that they used 80 years ago, and it's the same doorway, and it's the same countryside from 80 years ago, and it's like, oh my God, I'm so thankful I'm not doing this at midnight.
Surviving veterans are now in their 90s, many more than 100 years old. Some have travelled to France for the commemorations that will be held on those same beaches later this week. But for a lucky few from younger generations, the closest view there is to what it might have been like 8 decades ago. In London, Hugh Whitfell, 7 News.
At least one pilot has been killed in a mid-air collision at an air show in Portugal. It happened during a formation flight involving 6 aircraft in front of thousands of horrified onlookers. One of the light planes is seen clipping another before plunging to the ground and exploding into a fireball. The other plane that was hit landed safely. Mexico has elected its first ever female president. 2 women had been leading the polls after a ballot that was marred by bloodshed. At least 38 candidates were assassinated in the lead-up, including one shot dead just hours before the vote. Crime was a leading issue in what was the country's biggest ever election, which involved 98 million registered voters. Perth's property market continues to boom, with prices here rising faster than any other capital city in the country and poised to hit new highs in coming weeks. Here's finance editor Gemma Acton.
Another mixed bag across the country last month, with prices in Darwin and Hobart going backwards, some modest gains in Sydney, Melbourne and Canberra, and a lack of stock for sale pushing prices higher in Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth. Brisbane is the one to watch, with prices going gangbusters. Early this year, it overtook Melbourne to be the nation's 3rd most expensive market. Now it's bumped off Canberra and is second only to Sydney. It is quite a result. Now, good news for tenants. Rents are still rising in most markets, but not as much as they were. In Canberra, they're actually coming down. Now, the shift is subtle, but it is definitely there. And due to fewer migrants coming into the country, as well as sheer affordability, with more tenants at breaking point.
China is facing new claims of spying on Australia. Up next, the crackdown to keep our water, energy and transport networks safe. Also, the semi-crash that shook businesses, how the driver's doing tonight. Why investigators believe they're a step closer to finding the body of missing mum Samantha Murphy. Thousands of electric cars are sitting idle, what the sales slump means for prices. And Qantas rolls out a new boarding system. What's different? A new report is warning of a growing cyber security threat to Australia: drones. Like all internet-connected devices, they can be hacked and the sensitive data they collect sent offshore.
With their state-of-the-art sensors and cameras, drones have changed the way companies and governments inspect and maintain critical infrastructure. But a lack of cybersecurity regulations means they're also potentially putting our water, energy and transport networks at risk.
They're like flying computers, so at the moment there's no guidance around sort of software updating. They can be intercepted.
6.5 million drones are expected to be in circulation worldwide by the end of the decade, 70% of them made by Chinese company DJI. With concerns its links to the communist government could see data collected by its drones sent back to Beijing, used for espionage or sabotage.
It could provide a range of insights into how Australia's critical infrastructure operates.
The risk of interference while flying has also seen the Defence Force, Federal Police and Border Force ground all DJI drones. And there are now calls for the federal government to instruct critical infrastructure operators to do the same, as well as to urgently introduce new regulations to help safeguard against drone-related cyber threats.
We have to be certain that if we're using drones in our national interest, that they're not controlled by a potential adversary state.
Rob Scott, 7 News.
Detectives believe they're a step closer to finding the body of missing Ballarat mother Samantha Murphy after a major development. 7 News can reveal the mobile phone found last week is operational.
Samantha Murphy's mobile phone is the key clue detectives have in a case that's captivated the country. Now, 5 days after finding the 51-year-old's iPhone, 7 News can reveal it hasn't been damaged and is in a near-perfect working condition. It's a significant breakthrough in what may help detectives in the next phase of the meticulous investigation. 7 News has been told police from the Missing Persons Squad have been working closely with a tech expert who helped find her mobile. The expert also worked on other high-profile cases, including the murder of Karen Ristevsky. Metadata from Ms Murphy's phone will now be extracted. Investigators expect it to reveal the mother of three's final movements and possibly where her body is. It's been 121 days since Samantha Murphy left her Ballarat home for a run and never came back. The breakthrough discovery here at this dam is only a few k's away from one of the first locations detectives searched in April. Accused killer Patrick Stevenson is still refusing to cooperate with police. He's now hired top criminal defence lawyer Paul Galbally, who represented the late Cardinal George Pell. The 22-year-old will be back in court in August. Cassie Zervos, 7 News.
A body has been recovered from the rubble of a Sydney house that exploded on Saturday. 30-year-old trainee nurse Jasmine May is being remembered as a beautiful and energetic soul after a 36-hour operation to reach her remains.
As you can imagine, Mum's devastated.
Locals say they'd complained to housing authorities about a smell of leaking gas. An out-of-control semi-trailer has slammed into a lawyer's office, demolishing the shopfront and part of a New South Wales pub. The accident closed a major highway for hours.
Almost 1 a.m. outside the Coast Hotel, but this truck isn't coasting. Slamming first into a brick planter box, jackknifing and hurtling across the median strip, 4 lanes straight into the front of a local law office. A miracle that nothing was coming the other way. Another southbound semi pulls up as passers-by rush to help.
Lucky it happened at night when there was no one else around, otherwise a whole bunch of people would have been dead.
The 25-year-old driver escaped with minor injuries. The shop awning was demolished, doorways to the law firm and its neighbour blocked.
If the beams weren't there, I think it potentially could have come through our office.
The Pacific Highway closed in both directions for 3 hours.
We're lucky that no one was killed or seriously injured as a result of this.
Coffs Harbour, the only town where the main street is the highway. Work on a $2 billion bypass began last year. The driver passed drug and alcohol tests. Police are investigating the cause, but the road surface offers a clue. Awash with heavy rain.
It's a wet and greasy road.
The truck taken away by a heavy tow. The pub's shrubs in need of repotting. Amy Clements, 7 News.
A new drug detection HQ has opened at Hakea Prison. It'll serve as an admin complex to manage the growing number of prison searches. Prison authorities now use checks led by dogs as well as electronic trace devices, and they monitor wastewater.
We now have 13 teams in the metropolitan area alone and another 5 across regional Western Australia to meet the demand. And last year, over 70,000 searches. And that just shows you the output from a team like this.
The Drug Detection Unit is marking 30 years of prison search operations. Still to come on 7 News tonight, inside Australia's Tesla troubles. Why there are thousands of cars arriving with nowhere to go. The new boarding process set to be rolled out on Perth Qantas flights. The backlash after 3 mums are selected to represent Australia in the marathon at the Paris Olympics.
And coming up in sport, the Eagles to challenge Harley's 2-match ban. Adam Simpson will join us with the details. Plus, Freo's Luke Ryan and heartbreak for Minji at the US Open.
Tonight's edition of The Nightly is out now. Australia's only digital newspaper to drop nightly. And it's free. Delivered to your pocket every weeknight. Spend your night wisely. Free at thenightly.com.au.
Now, Fuel Watch. Perth's petrol prices brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
Australian researchers have made a world-first cancer breakthrough that curbs the development of melanomas. The clinical trial was led by Australian of the Year Georgina Long. It used immune therapy on patients before surgery instead of after. Patients experienced a major reduction in the progression of their cancers. The results are now being presented by the Australians to the world at a conference in Chicago. North Korea says it will stop a dirty tactic in its feud with the South after nearly a week of diplomatic trash talk. Hundreds of balloons that were filled with bags of rubbish have been flown across the border since last Tuesday. Pyongyang to the north claims it was a countermeasure against anti-regime propaganda sent by its neighbour. South Korea has described it as low class. Qantas is launching a new boarding process to help get flights off the ground faster. Passengers will be assigned a number from 1 to 6 and asked to take a seat until their group is called. It'll be rolled out in Sydney, Melbourne and Perth throughout the month. 3 mothers will represent Australia in the marathon at the Paris Olympics, but their selection wasn't without controversy, with officials forced to explain why others missed out.
Giving up a ticket to Paris is never easy, especially after working so hard to realise your Olympic dream.
It's a bit of a superpower being a mum, and it helps you to really channel your focus where you need to channel it.
3 mothers have been announced on Australia's marathon team: Jessica Stenson, Genevieve Gregson and national record holder Sinead Diver.
It's really cool, and we can, have shared experiences and know what it's like to juggle everything.
It's been a whirlwind few years for Gregson. Carted off in a wheelchair at the Tokyo Games after rupturing her Achilles in the steeplechase, she's since had her first son, Archer.
My Achilles probably won't last long, and if I want to play with my kids in the future, I should consider my body, but my body's never felt better. I've never felt this strong and this alive and fresh.
But today's selection here wasn't without controversy. Athletics Australia is facing a backlash for overlooking Lisa Waitman in favour of Stenson, despite Waitman running the 3rd fastest qualifying time.
It's just such a difficult process. There are no winners in this.
Athletics Australia says Stenson was chosen because of the hot and hilly conditions expected for the race.
It's something to really celebrate, but it comes with its inherent challenges. And I'm really happy now that, we can get together and move on from what has been a bit of a stressful couple of weeks.
Laura Spurway, 7 News.
Time now for a check on finance with Gemma Acton. And Gemma, how has the share market started the new month?
Just fine, closing up 59 points and with a lot of green on the board. Banks were the big winners, with all of the big 4 closing up more than 1%. The Aussie dollar is holding on above 66 US cents, while oil is just keeping its head above 80 US dollars. And $3.5 trillion, that's how much older Australians will pass on to the next generation in the coming 20 years. According to AMP, only 1 in 5 retirees are willing to downsize early to help their children. That's despite 4 in 5 believing their children face a financial outlook either as challenging or more challenging than what they experience themselves.
Thousands of cars ready to hit the road, but nobody wants to drive them. Just ahead, see the Australian port turning into a Tesla car park. Electric vehicles are piling up as sales hit a speed bump. Don't miss that story soon on 7 News. First, Ryan has Monday Night Sport. Ryan, the Eagles are headed to the tribunal.
They certainly are, Rick, tomorrow afternoon in defence of Harley Reid. Adam Simpson will explain. He's with us after the break. Plus, Luke Ryan on why the buy has come at the perfect time for Freo. And heartbreak for our Minjee at the US Open. The West Coast Eagles went down to St Kilda by 14 points on Saturday. Adam Simpson joins me now. Adam, welcome. What did you make of Saturday's performance?
Yeah, disappointing, Ryan. We ran out of legs there in the last quarter. Well, start of the last quarter in particular, we thought we let ourselves down a little bit and It was a bit of a scrap, wasn't it, for most of the day, and we found ourselves in front at three-quarter time and we just couldn't finish the game off. So some good signs there, but disappointed overall.
Now, Harley Reid's been offered a 2-match ban for rough conduct. The club will fight it at the tribunal tomorrow. Can you talk us through that decision?
Yeah, we just had a good look at it last 24 hours, and we think there's a case there to hopefully downgrade the severity of the impact. And I think that's up tomorrow, and we'll do everything we can to help him.
So you're trying to get it from 2 weeks to 1. You don't think there's a chance you could get the whole thing overturned?
Oh, I hope so. I hope we get the whole thing thrown out, but I'm not quite sure if that's going to happen. So we'll work on best case scenario, and we'll go from there, Ryan. But it's sort of out of my hands. Once the game finishes, it's over to the lawyers and the footy club, so they do everything they can to try and get him off or reduce the suspension.
From a bigger picture perspective, should players still be eligible for the Rising Star if they're suspended, do you think?
I actually didn't know that rule, that you weren't eligible for any of those awards. So, look, it's probably not the time to talk about it after one of your players is possibly going to miss out on that opportunity. So maybe ask me in a month when it settles down a little bit. But, I didn't know the rule was there. I thought that was just a Brownlow only. So maybe something to look at down the track.
He had a brilliant second quarter, then copped a tag in the second half. I'm tipping that won't be the last time he gets that attention. But what did he learn from it, do you think?
That was always going to happen. We prepped him as best we could. I'm sure it's happened at junior level, but it just goes up another standard at AFL, especially when he had the impact he did in that first half. So, yeah, the type of player he is, he can go forward as well as on ball as well. So using those levers, I suppose, is going to help him down the track. And what can we do to help him as players as well? So it's first of many, I'm assuming, of attempts to run with him. And, it worked for St Kilda on the weekend, but that's not to say we can't work our way through it the next few weeks.
Saw Oscar Allen on the track this morning. He's looking okay. How far away is he?
Yeah, not far. He trained today. He trained fully the week before. He'll train through the bye and hopefully available for, Essendon after the bye. If not, that game might be Hawthorn at home the week after. So he's on track for after the bye.
That's good news. Jake Waterman and Tim Kelly both missed against the Saints. Will they play against North this week?
More hopeful on Jake than Tim. So, yeah, haven't had a full medical report yet, but Jake was reasonably close to playing on the weekend, so more hopeful for him. Tim, still not quite sure yet with his injury how it's recovered. Haven't seen him today, but he's probably less likely than Jake.
Okay, and your mid-season draftee, Jack Hutchinson, 5 goals in his waffle debut, not bad. Do you think he's capable of breaking into the AFL side in the mid to short term?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the game up in Northern was just really good for everyone. The community really embraced it. Playing Perth there and a bit of a mineral resources derby for us, I suppose. So great performance. And then Jack kicked most of our score as well. So for a guy who's, hasn't really met everyone yet to do that's, fantastic for him. And I'm not sure how long it took Ryan Marrick to get into our side, but it might have taken 1 week. So it might be the same for Jack. We have to wait and see.
He looks like a talent. The Kangaroos, Saturday afternoon at Optus. Adam, good luck.
Thanks, Ryan. Cheers.
Fremantle have the week off after their brilliant 92-point win over Melbourne in Alice Springs yesterday. There's no concern for Jordan Clark, who limped off in the final minutes. It was just a clash with someone's boot studs. Luke Ryan says the bye has come at the perfect time for the Dockers.
I'm cooked. That ground was soft. My hammies were killing me, my hips killing me, but I suppose it makes it a lot easier when you're winning like that. Boys will get away, go down south, refresh and come back for a good session Saturday and really get stuck in the second half of the year.
Demon skipper Max Gawn says the loss to Freo was the worst he's experienced in 5 years.
We'll definitely have some conversations about where we're going wrong. In particular, probably on the training track. I think we're a bit up and down at the moment, and it's not the footy team you want to be.
One of footy's funniest conspiracy theories was put to bed today. The Mackay twins, Harry and Ben, have never played against each other at AFL level, despite spending 9 years at the top level, leading some to speculate they were the same person. Today, they were face to face and will finally go head to head on Sunday afternoon.
We'll definitely be spending some time with each other, no doubt. I think Charlie's a bit too good for you. He probably kicked 10, so maybe come to me.
WA teams can cross star fullback Sam Taylor off the recruiting whiteboard. He's staying at GWS until at least the end of 2032 after signing a 7-year contract extension. And in a blow for the Adelaide Crows, Matt Crouch will sit out the rest of the season following shoulder surgery. And traditional rivals South and East Fremantle went head-to-head today in the Fremantle Derby.
Harbour pops up again and bangs it into the old hospital.
South have gone the length of the ground again and just about put this one to bed.
South Freo too strong, winning the game by 14 points. Yannick Sinner survived a serious scare at the French Open. The Australian Open champion was a set and a breakdown against Corentin Moutet, but recovered to win in 4 sets. Iga Swiatek barely broke a sweat, needing just 40 minutes to advance. 6-love, 6-love. And from 3 shots in front with 10 holes to play at the US Women's Open, WA's Minjee Lee fell in a heap, dropping 7 shots in 7 holes.
It's just going to go in the water.
Wow, that was a poor strike.
The 28-year-old is shattered but determined to come back stronger. Minjee finished tied for 9th, 7 shots behind her close friend Yuka Sasso. And Rick, good to have you back. I know you were in Alice Springs with the Dockers. What was that like?
Well, flew across on the charter flight and back of them too. It was actually fantastic seeing them so happy, and good to see a West Australian team giving into the Vic so well. So,
absolutely.
Cheers. Thousands of apparently unwanted Teslas are clogging Australian ports as global sales of the electric vehicle drop. Experts say the honeymoon is over for Elon Musk's battery-powered cars, but it means buyers might soon get a bargain price.
All dressed up and nowhere to go. 2,000 Teslas arrive here at Port Melbourne every month, but no buyers to take them home.
All of a sudden we've got a huge backlog of Teslas that aren't moving. They've just stopped moving.
Tesla sales slumped 44% in April, despite the US car giant making multiple and significant price cuts to its fleet in a bid to compete with the growing Chinese EV market.
Tesla's usually come into this country pre-sold. These cars aren't. They're sitting here waiting for buyers.
Tesla isn't the only company suffering. Electric vehicle sales in Australia dipped 5% in April after more than 3 years of double and triple digit growth.
People are starting to tighten their purse strings. They really want value out of a car. Electric vehicles comparatively are more expensive than internal combustion cars.
Car experts say the sector is struggling to advance beyond the early adopter phase, blaming poor charging infrastructure and plummeting resale values for creating uncertainty.
People are just a little bit weary about those price fluctuations and what it means for them when it comes to resale time.
7 News sought comment from Tesla on several occasions, but received no response. Beth Yeoman, 7 News.
Sam Jolly has the very latest weather next on this WA Day public holiday, Sam.
And it has been a fairly clear day, Rick, after a very wet start to the long weekend. But there is still plenty of rain coming our way. I'll have the details next.
Tonight on The Latest, getting closer, new clues in the hunt for missing mum Samantha Murphy. We cross for the latest. Then seeing in the dark, Australian researchers make some amazing discoveries deep in our oceans. That's The Latest tonight after 11 here on 7.
On 7 News, from science fiction to science fact.
This technology could change the world.
Just look what they've been building.
The market for robotics is absolutely exploding at the moment.
You won't believe what they can do now.
There's huge advances in technology.
On 7 News at 6 o'clock.
Well, winter certainly is here. We have the potential for more than 100 millimetres of rain in the city this week alone. We had some overnight showers across the metro area, but it was mostly clear from 9 a.m. and we had a top of 21.5 degrees in the city this afternoon. Right now it is 15 degrees and the winds are calm. Bickley was our coolest spot today, 18 degrees there. The Swan Valley the warmest with 22. Swanbourne and the airport were 22 as well. We had 21 for Jandakot and the same for Baldivis. At the moment we do have a high and a ridge dominating, bringing clear skies with morning frost and fog possible. There is another cold front due on Thursday and we could get a late thunderstorm and some heavier rain. Interstate, a cold top of 14 degrees in Melbourne tomorrow, a frosty 13 for Canberra, mostly sunny in Sydney and Brisbane, and it's looking cloudy with a top of 16 degrees for Adelaide tomorrow. And statewide, sunny and 28 for Broome and Carnarvon tomorrow, cloudy for Kalgoorlie, and showers are increasing across our southwest. On local coastal waters, westerly winds below 10 knots, becoming north to northwesterly before dawn. So we're getting down to 12 tonight. We could get fog tomorrow morning and a shower or two with a top of 21 degrees. Wednesday will be sunny with a top of 23, and we could get morning fog again. Then Thursday will be wet and stormy from the afternoon, up to 30 millimetres of rain. Those showers are easing into Friday, then picking up again for our weekend. Late showers and 22 degrees Saturday. Sunday, we could get up to 35 mils of rain and 20 degrees, then showers again for next Monday. Now for tonight's winning lotto numbers, they are 44, 5, 24, 26, 33, 32 and the sups are 36 and 28. Those numbers again, if you're writing them down, 44, 5, 24, 26, 33, 32 and the sups are 36 and 28, Rick.
Thank you, Sam. That's 7 News for WA Day. We'll be back with updates for you throughout the evening. For the latest stories, head to 7news.com.au. Enjoy the rest of your Monday public holiday here on 7.